Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to learn about the new available grid container control inside the Power Apps. We will see that in action during this video. But before we move into the demo, here is a short intro. So right now I am in one of my developer environment and we want to start with a blank canvas app. And I'm going to select this responsive as my design. Let's wait for the app to load. So now the app is loaded, and as we can see, we have this normal screen container that is horizontal and vertical containers. So if you want to work with the grid container, we have to first go and check the actual working authoring version. It must be more than 3.25123.7. So right now we are having 3.25123.11. So we should have that new available grid containers. Okay. So now if I go and check for the screens or the controls which I can add, you can see this grid container which is available in here. So let me now go and try to add a new screen. I'm going to add one new blank screen. Okay. And here I'm going to put in this new grid container in. Okay. So this is my grid container. So as you can see, this grid container has some of the options which are available in this right hand side panel, where you will see different options. Let's say columns, rows, positions, and all that stuff. So let me try to add one button, right? And I'm going to copy and paste again that same button for 4 times, 3 and 4. You should observe when I try to add one more button, it comes in the bottom row. Why? Because for this grid container, we have the column values as 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 column values are available, and 2 rows. So that is, there are 2 buttons available, two rows available. Okay. If I go and change the value from column 4 to, let's say, 3, so as you can see, now these buttons are set up in terms of 3 columns, like 1, 2, and 3 button above, and 2 rows, so 1 and 2 and 3 buttons below. But let's say I go and change it to 3 rows. So there is a space for another row to be added in here. Okay, let me just make it 2 for now. Okay, so another property in here for this grid container is this gap. So this is the gap between the buttons. So if I go and increase this gap up to 15, so as you can see, there are gaps being maintained between the buttons, right? And other part is the size and all that stuff, the padding. Let's say I want to give a, a top padding of 20 pixel. So as you can see, there is a top padding and bottom padding is 20 pixel. Well, the left hand side and right hand side padding is also 20 pixels. So as you can see from the 4 sides, we have the 20 pixel of padding into it. Another property is the grid color, right? So as you can see, you can provide a grid color as ever, whatever we want to apply for it, right? And the other option is the border radius. So let's say I want to apply a border radius of 10. So you can see there is a border radius. Let me just try to increase the border radius for this. So instead of 10, let's say make it 30. So this will give a round shape to my grid container. Okay. As you already know, or you already have used that, the drop shadows. So let's say we want to have a drop shadow as regular, so that we can have the drop shadow about our grid container, right? And if you want to make the border as dotted, no borders, everything we can change in this. So another good point or another property of this grid control is this position size. So as we go and change the value of this size, it changes and it makes itself responsive for that. Okay. So let me make some of the changes. Let me make the border radius to 50. I'm going to make it transparent and also make the grid uh, drop shadow as semi-bold. Okay, so it will have the semi-bold as a drop shadow. Fine. Okay, so this is how the grid container can be utilized. So let's try to generate one application or some home page for that. So I'm going to create or insert a new screen that is going to be let's say header and footer. This screen. So this is my header, this is main, and this is footer. So let me just go and delete this header main and the footer screen. In this header container, I am going to add text control. I will make the alignment of the container as stretch, and I am going to make it as flexible width true. So it will go and take all the width of the container, right? I'm going to call it as dashboard, and I'm going to make it align center and vertical align as middle as well. Okay. And I'm going to make the font size for this as 36. Okay. If you want, we can also go and update the background. So this is my background. And if you want to update the font color, so let's say I want to update it to white. Oh, white is not looking good. So let me make it like this. Okay. So now what we want to do is we want to add that new grid container. So in this screen container 2, I'm going to select this screen container 2 and then insert this grid container into it. And in here, I'm to add 4 buttons, but let me just go and change the values to 2 columns and 2 rows. So this is first column, second column, second row, first column, second row, second column, right? Now, if I just go and simply run this, you will see the responsiveness in here. So let's say iPhone 8, iPhone 11, right? These are the different ways to do it. If I go and again run this in panel, so this is how this thing will work. Okay, good. So this is how we can use this. If the tablet mode is there, how it will look. Okay, go and remove these buttons. And so what we want to do is we want to add one vertical container in here. And in this vertical container, I am going to add one image control and one button control. And then we want to copy and paste it in here. So not here, but outside it. Okay. Third, then fourth. Okay. And for each of these containers, we want to set the grid container value. So if I go and select my main grid, that is container 2, I will set the gap to 50 padding 50, 50 for all the values, right? And for this one, I can set up the top shadow as semi-bold for all of the four buttons. And then for the image, we can select an image. For example, let me just go and try to select one of the stock image, for example, this one. So for this image control, we have to set the align in container is equals to stretch and flexible height equal to true. So it will take the whole size of it, right? So instead of doing that same thing, like I added those blank images first. Yes, for this one, I'm also going to set the same thing as this image should be flexible height and set as here. I can select any of the image from my machine, or I can use any of the stock images for this. So let's say I'm selecting this one. Okay, it is fit, stretch, and fit. Same thing for this one. I'm also selecting stretch, align, and auto height. I'm going to select another stock image for this. That's this one. For this one also, I'm going to set the same thing. So as you can see, it is very easy to set up this type of scenarios or this type of dashboard where you can just go and click on the item and it will work for you, and it all responsive, right? As you can see from here, I open it in iPhone 8, Apple, right? Well, if I change the portrait mode or landscape mode, still it is working. I just set it as a stretch, so that's why it's looking bad. But yeah, I think you got the idea about this. Okay, so yes, this is very quick introduction video about these grid containers, which will help you to design and develop the responsive screens or responsive containers. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you have any questions or comment, or you want me to make a video on a specific topic, please let me know in the comment. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.